Tuesday night. It is 10:30. I have just been kneeling before my armchair, praying fervently and in ardent silence, begging aid and succor for all the fearful, inwardly unprepared, poor people who are now spending their last hours in their homes. Ah, how much I feel for them! My heart is so heavy and so full of love. I wish I could enfold all of them in it and console them as a mother consoles her child. It was so wonderful to see you suddenly tonight. You have grown so close to my heart, and tonight I longed for you especially. Forgot to give you the peppermints I bought for you last night from the chocolate man. Dear one, I so want to go on praying. No, I don't think I shall perish. This afternoon, a brief spell of so much despair and sadness, not for everything that is happening, but simply for myself. And the thought that I will have to leave S, not even grief about the longing I shall feel for him, but grief about the longing he will feel for me. A few days ago, I thought that nothing more could happen to me, that I have suffered everything in anticipation. But today, I suddenly realized that things can indeed weigh more heavily on me than I ever thought possible. And they were very, very heavy. I was unfaithful to you, God, but not entirely. It is good to have such moments of despair and of temporary extinction. Continuous calm would be superhuman. But now I know again that I shall always get the better of despair. This afternoon, I should not have thought it possible that, by this evening, I would be so calm again, and so hard at work at my desk. Everything in me was extinguished by despair just for a moment. There was so much that lacked coherence, and there was such terrible sorrow. And then those 1,000 petty cares again, from feet that hurt after running for half an hour to headaches that became so painful they can crush you from within, and so on. But now it has all passed again. I know that I shall often lie broken and ruined, crushed against God's earth. But I also believe I'm quite tough, and that I shall always be able to get up again. Even though there was a process of hardening and numbing this afternoon, and I experienced just what extreme circumstances can do to you in time. But now my head is clearer than ever before. I'm going to bed early, so that I can be rested tomorrow. Tomorrow I must speak to S at length about our fate and our attitude. I must. The real letters have come, those covering the years 1907 to 1914, and 1914 to 1921. I hope I shall be allowed to finish them. And the Schubarts, too. Jopie bought them. And like a second St. Martin, she took off her pure wool sweater, which wards off the rain and the cold, and gave it to me. Just the garment for a long journey. Will I be able to pack the 2 parts of the Idiot and my small Langehest dictionaries between the blankets? I would gladly make do with a little less food if only I could get the books in. Fewer blankets won't do, for I'm bound to freeze to death as it is. Hans' rucksack was lying in the passage this afternoon. I tried it out on the sly. There wasn't very much in it, but to be honest, the thing was much too heavy for me. Well, I'm in God's hands. My body with all its aches and pains as well. If I should ever feel utterly crushed and bewildered, I will surely remember in some tiny corner of my mind that I shall surely be able to get up again. Otherwise, I should be lost. I walk along a path even while I am led along it. I come to my senses again, and I know clearly how I must act. Or not how I must act, but that I will know how to act when the time comes. Dear one, I so want to go on praying. I love him so much. And I asked myself once more today, wouldn't it be easier to pray for someone from a distance, and to live with him inwardly, than to see him suffering by your side? What will be, and the only danger for me is that my heart might break with love for him. Now I must go and do some reading. When I pray, I never pray for myself, always for others, or else I hold a silly, naive, or deadly serious dialogue with what is deepest inside me, which for the sake of convenience I call God. Praying to God for something for yourself strikes me as being too childish for words. Tomorrow I must ask S if he ever prays for himself. To pray for another's well-being is something I find childish as well. One should only pray that another should have enough strength to shoulder his burden. If you do that, you lend him some of your own strength. The greatest cause for suffering in so many people is their utter lack of inner preparation, which makes them give up long before they ever set foot in a camp. They believe our fate is sealed already, our catastrophe complete, Really, Dante's Inferno is comic opera by comparison. Ours is the real hell, as said recently, very simply and dryly. There are moments when my head spins, with the wailing and the howling and the screeching all around, and the sky looms so low and so threatening. And yet now and then that bright and bubbling good humor of mine rises to the surface again. It never really leaves me, and it isn't gallows humor either, I'm quite sure. I've grown so used to the times in which we live that few things baffle me now or obscure my view. After all, it has not been literature and aesthetics alone I have been busy with here at my desk during these last few years. No, what I have collected here has helped me to ride over these past 18 months. It has become part of me, and will help me brave what other storms life may still have in store for me. A sentence from one of Rook's letters. Quote, "Thus everything comes and keeps on coming, and we have only to be there with all our heart." End quote. I must remember something for my most difficult moments. The fact that Dostoevsky spent 4 years in a Siberian jail with the Bible as his only reading matter. He was never allowed to be alone, and the sanitary arrangements were not particularly marvelous. It is 11:15. Tomorrow I shall be spending the whole day with him, a precious gift these days. A whole day with the man you love so dearly is almost an indecent amount for any person. Good night. Will he be kneeling in front of his chair? When I call that picture to mind of this good man kneeling in his small room, then something overflows in my heart. So long as I have that picture with me, nothing can ever go wrong with me again. You mustn't imagine there are a lot of spiritual advantages to be gained in that kind of camp, Werner said today. You grow a hard shell round you, that's all. A hard shell won't fit me. I shall remain defenseless and open to everything. Dear God, what will happen to me? No, I shall not ask you beforehand. I shall bear every moment, even the most unimaginable, as it comes. And if you should ever stumble over me, I shall pick you up again. I hope with you to come through. Once more, good night.